Hi, welcome to Turning the Keys podcast, the place where I will share the insights and tools that have helped me in my journey. And maybe this can help you too or serve you somehow. I am Ana Sultan and I'm glad to be here. Guys, I don't know if you noticed that my introduction was less enthusiastic than what I used to do because I don't know, when I was recording this, I was thinking, would I bring insights and tools today? You know, um, from the series of challenging episodes, this week is one of them. I don't know if it's because it is a holiday or because I am on my PMS or if it's just this book I just finished reading. I know that this week and this episode was one of those days when you question everything. You question the reason that you're doing the things you do, the reason that you are here on earth. I'm recording this really late. It's like almost 3 a.m. I'm having insomnia. I am just scrolling through Kindle looking for books because I don't know, I feel that when I finish a book that is really meaningful to me, I feel this hole in my heart, like this longing for a new book. And I was searching for a new book and still holding this, questioning of everything. And one of those things was that, have you ever noticed how much of your time is not actually yours? We are always living in someone else's time frame. First, your parents, then the school, then your work. You have a time to start, a time to finish, or you have a project to deliver within a certain time frame. And as you get older, you started to notice how your body also have its own time frame. So you need to sleep a certain number of hours, you need to eat at a certain time because your muscle recovery and your brain recovery is not the same as it was when you were younger, and your blood sugar levels are just very entitled at this point. They don't take shit. And you see yourself trapped in all of these obligations and all of these time frames. And I know that I am very particular about time. Like, one thing about me is that I am always wearing a watch. I have one of those bands where you only need to charge like every 8 or 9 days. So I sleep with my watch, I shower with my watch, I swim with my watch, I go to the gym, I do everything every day with my watch. I feel like having easy access to know what time is grounds me, makes me less anxious, and even give me a false sense of control. And the ironic thing is that I got my first watch when I was 7 years old. My dad gave it to me. He traded on a fair that he used to go, and he got this watch, but the wristband was really tiny. It wouldn't fit him, it wouldn't fit anybody in my house. So he gave it to me. And I say it is ironic for two reasons. One, my dad didn't give me many things in life. So this is a core memory to me of him giving me something. And secondly, because he was the person that in my early childhood made me feel more unsafe, and he gave me the tool that until today I use to have a sense of security. Isn't it strange how things are unrelated related? The book I just finished reading, it's called The Alchemist. The author is Paulo Coelho. And in this book, he tells the story of a pastor that had this desire to see the world. So he was living in a town that it was a great town. It was a touristic town. And every year, a lot of people would come to his hometown and he will fall in love with the place and be like, oh my God, I wish I lived here. But he was living there and he was like, nah, not for me. I don't want to be here. This place is okay, but I know that is more to the world that I need to explore. And he refers to this character as boy. So this boy, he luckily had supportive parents, and he said to them that he didn't want to be there, that he wanted to see the world. He wanted to travel, and his dad told him, well, this is for rich people. And from where we come from, the only people that I see that can travel are the pastors. And the boy said, okay, so I'll be a pastor. And his family helps him out. He got to buy some sheep and he started to work as a pastor. Quickly, he learned this craft, this profession. So he knows what he needs to know to be a pastor. He knows where the best pastures are. He knows how to read the signs of the sheep to understand where there is water around. And he also learned how to fight wolves and snakes. He doesn't have much companion because he always travels alone. It's only him and his sheep. So he learns to deal with his solitude as well. He finds peace in that. And he also finds comfort on seeing how the sheep trust him. They just want water, food, and to be protected from wild creatures. And he can provide that, so the sheep love him. But then one of those traveling he was doing, he sees this merchant's daughter and he feels interested about her. They have a quick conversation and she gets surprised over the fact that he knows how to read. And he explained to her that he learned how to read because he was studying to be a priest, but he didn't feel like it anymore. So they had this quick conversation, but the girl was in his head. So he was traveling all over Andalusia and Spain, and he kept this girl in mind, and he was planning to go back and ask her hand for her father. But then he has a dream that he was finding a treasure under the pyramids of Egypt. He was intrigued by that. But he was like, okay, it was just a dream. But then he had the same dream again, and he started to question if it was not a message. So he went to a gypsy to ask for help to interpret this dream, and she told him that she was not going to charge him anything now, but she had an important information to give it to him. And for that information, she would charge him 1/10 of this treasure. The boy was like, I have nothing to lose. Like, okay, this might be just be craziness. So the gypsy told him, you must go to Egypt and find this treasure under the pyramids. The boy was like, the heck? I'm gonna give you 1/10 of my treasure for this information? Like, this is, I already knew. And then the gypsy tells him to go away because like, she's like, yeah, that's what I have to tell you. But you already know that. I don't know what you came here for. So he's like having mixed feelings about the situation. He still feels curious about this treasure, but he's like, yeah, this is BS. And this gypsy was just a waste of my time. He was sitting on a bench reading his book when a guy sits next to him and he starts a conversation. He's not interested, but he doesn't want to be rude, so he talks to the guy. But then the guy starts to say things that surprises him. about himself. He tells the boy that he's a king, and he also encourages him to go to Egypt to find his treasure, and teaches the boy about the omens, how to read them. So, with this conversation, the boy feels convinced to go to Egypt. He sells all his sheep to his friend who always wanted to be a pastor, and he hops into a ship and goes to Africa. And then his journey truly starts. He goes determined to find his treasure. And in the boy's head, everything will be easy. He will hop on the ship, get to Africa, go to the pyramids, and boom, he will find his treasure. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens when he gets to Africa, because I don't want to spoil the book for you. But I'm just going to say that things didn't happen as the boy was planning. Because life doesn't happen as we plan. I feel like we have this linear vision of things. Like, okay, I go to the point A to the point B on a straight line. And the universe doesn't work like that. So you have a lot of extra points that you didn't imagine, that you didn't prepare, that you didn't count on. But they're there to help you grow, to develop your character, or to connect you with people. And when he gets to Africa, he gets to know a lot of people who taught him many things, life lessons, philosophy, and alchemy, because he meets an alchemist. That's why the book's named like that. And oh boy, this book touched me because I can relate so much with this character. Like the boy, he was a dreamer. He had this dream that he would find this treasure, and he had some doubts about it. But then he had two people telling him go, and he was like, I'm going. He was a dreamer. And to be a dreamer, I feel like you also need to be naive to a certain extension, because you ignore everything that can go wrong, all the difficulties. You just see your dream so big and so shiny that nothing else matters, right? You have the goal and you have this strong desire of achieving it. And this is only what matters. But let's not forget that the pyramids are in a desert. And the desert is not the easiest, quickest, or steadiest pathway to walk through. And I feel that the boy underestimated the power of the desert. Or maybe he didn't even underestimate it, he just didn't acknowledge it. You know, it was like the desert was not part of the story he was telling himself. Because let me tell you, it's not easy to leave everything that you know, everybody that you know, the place that you know, profession that you know, the sheeps that you are responsible for. It's not easy to leave all of that. And you can only do it when you tell yourself a great story on how things are going to be better if you leave all of that. On top of that, on top of this story, there is also your heart's voice that won't shut up until you do what you feel. And in another part of the book, the boy asks, what if I don't do that? What if I don't follow the omens? And the alchemist tells him, well, so in year one, this is going to be the scenario. You will be happy. Things will be the greatest that ever been. Year two, you're going to start to, have this emptiness visit you. On year three, this emptiness will grow bigger. And then on year four and year five, and then it's like this emptiness will take over you. And one of the lessons I've learned from this book is that following your heart is the second most difficult thing you can do. The first one is not following it. You need to be brave to follow your heart, but you also need to be brave to not follow it. Either way, you're going to have consequences. And myself, personally, I prefer the consequences of following my heart because at least I have this sense of evolution, you know? So let's say in this boy's story, he started to follow his heart when he was like, yeah, I don't want to be in this hometown. I want to see the world. I want to do something different. Imagine if he had this feeling, but he never acted on it. And he spent his whole life as a priest in his hometown. He would be extremely unhappy and unfulfilled. And it's difficult to deal with that. You know, it's difficult to get out of your comfort zone, but it's also difficult to stay in your comfort zone when you don't see meaning on anything. I feel that it took me a long time to figure it out what I wanted for my life. I'm still learning a lot of things and discovering new purposes, but I also feel that since early on, I knew what I didn't want. And what I didn't want was to repeat the stories that I saw in my house. They were sad stories, you know, stories of broken dreams. And I didn't want to do that to myself. So I always had this urge to go somewhere and do things. And that's why many of my difficulties are related to that because they come from this place of urgency of doing things or on changing things. And then I get anxious and I get overwhelmed and then I have this hyper independency because I feel like my pace is faster than anybody's pace. I'm always in a rush and always with this watch to watch me. And as Pink Floyd would say, you run and you run to catch up with the sun, but it's sinking. And again, guys, it comes to the same question. What is time? We don't know. Isn't it scary? I mean, I think so. And I think that's what is keeping me up tonight, thinking about what am I here for? Like the boy, I followed the amen that made me leave my hometown. And I know that I mentioned before about my pregnancy and how that relates to my past life. But I don't remember if in that episode I told how my baby's father and I met. So I had just returned to the US. I was here for, I think, 2 or almost 3 months. And one of the omens that I followed to be here was that I was going to find my future partner here. And I was really focused into this idea on finding love. I was actually a bit obsessed because I can be like that when I have some idea in my head. And I was kind of seeing someone that it was an interesting connection, but not a fruitful one. So long term, it would not gonna work. So we stopped seeing each other. And then I have a friend that is into Hinduism, and she sent me some Ganesha mantras. And Ganesha is the god that, you know, breaks the obstacles. And I started to do these mantras and I started to put this intention of finding my partner and all. And then I dreamed about a person that I didn't know. I dreamed that I was swiping right into this person on the app. And it was not usually the kind of person that I would go for. And then, like the boy, I had the same dream 2 nights. And also, like the boy, I assume, well, this is a message. This is something I must do. So I started to look for a person with those characteristics on the app. And I matched my baby's father. And it was interesting because we both had the same desire of starting a family and, having this grounding relationship. So, what we wanted were aligning and we were getting to know each other more. So, when we were together for a month, we have this girlfriend boyfriend conversation. And I was like, okay, I think I can see a relationship with this person. But first, I need to test it out, our chemistry, because this is important to me. I don't want to have a relationship where I am sexually unhappy. So we were like, okay, let's do it. And on the first time we decided to do it, I got pregnant. So the fear of every adult woman is to be pregnant. And then when they decide to be pregnant, they fear that they can't get pregnant. So it's all around that, you know? And because I followed my heart and I followed the almonds, I was certain that this was something that must happen the way it happened. And now that I've been through a lot since I came back to this country, I can look back and say, yeah, it was not that bad, because when you have this perception of the after, it seems like it was not hard, but it was extremely hard. It was my freaking desert, So when I left my country, I had zero certainty of how my future was going to be. I had a short term plan, but there were a lot of things that it was out of my control. I came under the student visa, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to school and then I'm going to graduate. I'm going to find a great job because I'm going to be the best at my class, and then they're going to hire me and I'll have a work visa. And I also see the possibility of getting married to a citizen, but I was not exploring that road because I didn't want to count on that. I wanted to marry somebody out of love, and love doesn't have a timeline. I didn't know where I was going to find this partner. If the timeline of love didn't match the timeline of visa, it was not going to work. So those were the two possibilities that I could envision, and none of them happened because I did get married, and it was a genuine intention. It was the intention of starting a family with this person that I would now call the father of my child. But it was not a place of love, of, oh my God, this is my person. We love each other. We are in love. I feel like we were never in love. We were in love with the idea of being a family, of welcoming somebody into this world. His dream was to be a father, and he is a great father. We truly want to make it work. But it didn't work because the omens showed us that we are not meant to be together forever. We were meant to be together to make our son. This boy wanted to have me as his mother and this man as his father. And we are both extremely blessed and extremely grateful of having him and even each other. I feel that after the separation, the divorce, and all of that, after going through this desert that we've been through, we both came to the conclusion that this was the best that ever happened to us. We are very good at co-parenting, and we both try to be the best person that we can for this child. And of course, we are humans, we commit mistakes, sometimes we want to kill each other, but we always come to this place of love for our son. When I was following my heart with the desire to conquer love, I didn't expect that it will come from such pure source. And I feel that I evolved a lot and I learned a lot and I heal a lot with this experience. But this is not all of it. There is more. And I feel that the difference between the boy and I is that he had a clear vision of what his treasure was. And I don't. My treasure is like a puzzle, and I can only have a clear vision of a piece of it. So for my son, I conquered that piece. I carry in my heart, made me whole, made me happy. But there are other pieces out there, and for these other pieces, I'm still walking in a desert. And this can be exhausting sometimes. When you are in the desert and when you face situations that you feel like are too difficult, it makes you question, why did I come in the first place? Things were fine the way it was. And I don't know, guys. On the last episode, I shared a message to encourage you to walk on your desert, as I'm trying to encourage me too. I don't have the answers. I am looking for them like the next person. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And neither do you. So we just need to accept that and keep walking. Because one day we all are going to be invited to leave this planet. And I feel that those who follow their hearts and who follows their soul can accept this invitation with peace and gratitude. And I want this to be my legacy. As I walk through this desert, I want to give up on many things. So this was a really challenging episode for me to record. And I am glad I did it, and I'm grateful on how, for better or for worse, I am learning consistency. I feel that my success lives there. So thank you for your time. I really recommend that you read this book. The Alchemist is really good. And see you.